there, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. And you know why I'm really good right now.
I know, it's so exciting.
I am just I am just floored. I am floored that these girls from Canada in soccer just won the gold medal in a shootout. I am just so, like I said, these girls, it's taken our program, 20 years of growth to get there, to compete with, countries of 300 million and 80 million and 100 million, right? So
Right.
it's just amazing.
Congrats.
So I'm glad that you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And today you're on the Parent Talk. Yeah, the last time we did it, we were on our sports podcast, which was great.
Right,
So
right.
I'm stealing you over. But the reason why I wanted to have Stephanie here is because she's going to talk about the fuel that our kids need as teenagers because of their sharp growth curve, because of their brain development, what foods they need. And Stephanie had a incredible background. So I'll just give you a little bit of her experience, which I may lose my breath because she's got a lot of experience. So she did, you do certified sports nutrition, certified youth nutrition specialist. You are a certified massage therapist, which you're too far away to do me. I could really use one right now. You are a wellness educator for the last long time here. You focus on teens and teen athletes. You do focus primarily on athletic children and specifically hockey, which I want to share with our viewers and listeners here. And you are trying to get across to parents and coaches and players that we need to properly fuel our kids to be prepared to play, and not just be prepared to play, but prepared to grow. And I think that's why it's so important to have these conversations, because in the last year, I mean, we eat very well, 80% really well here, but I was shocked by some of the statistics of what is actually in, let's say, for example, what is in Cheerios, what is in juice. Like we don't drink juice. We don't have that much pop at all. If it is, it's like for a week and it's a special thing, but like what's hidden in our food. So Steph, my first question is, how do we properly balance a diet for kids that are in the teens and they're growing, and where I lost my footing was exactly how much their brain is growing?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, a huge misconception, because we look at, especially our teenagers. I mean, by the time my son was 14, he was taller than me. And we get into these ideas that, maybe the doctors are saying they're as tall as they're going to be. And we mistake that for thinking that they're done growing, and they aren't. The brain is actually still developing until they're about 25, 26. There's a lot happening there. And the body is obviously still changing too. And we can't look at, one specific age and say, this is what's happening at this time, because they all hit puberty at different times. They're all going through different experiences, but the way the brain develops is fundamentally changing, especially during those adolescent years. So, really how we fuel the brain is essential, because obviously it controls everything within the body, their hormones, their growth, their recovery, their immunity. All of that is affected by brain health. And, if anything, within this Olympics too, we've taken a much closer look at not just the nutrition of our athletes, but the mental health of our athletes as well. So it's a huge aspect. And interestingly, I was just reading that there's one of the biggest studies going on right now in the US for adolescent brain development. And they're looking at, it started back in like 2016, 2017, and they took 6,000 kids and they're watching them over a 10-year span, kind of see where the brain changes go. Yeah, and they're looking at, screens, they're looking at sports, they're looking at arts, they're looking at all these different aspects of it and how their brain's changing. Interestingly, though, the one thing that I noticed that's missing in this study is nutrition, which I thought was a really interesting omission.
That's sort of a factor, isn't it?
It is a factor. And it's a little scary to me that this is the biggest study ever, and it's only 6,000 kids. I mean, that's like
not very many.
No, it's not very many. So, fueling their brain, carbohydrates are essential. And contrary to what everything with fad diets is going to tell you, carbohydrates are essential for brain health, especially for our kids, because they're using them and turning them over so much, and healthy fats as well. So we need to really start to looking at the quality of the food that our kids are eating, as opposed to just, they're busy, they're active, they burn everything off. It's really a huge myth. We need to look at the quality of their foods.
So with teens specifically, we're going to examine today, they are staying up late. They're grabbing caffeine to stay up on their phones so that they can talk and be social, and what's called the not miss generation, right?
Right.
So they're grabbing sugar, they're grabbing Red Bull, and this is at 10 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. So can you explain to parents what that's doing to their brain at 10 o'clock at night, and how that actually affects them early in the morning?
Yeah. So, we look at those teenage years, kind of the 14 to 18, especially, they need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night, which in and of itself is kind of a joke anyway. By the time they get home, whether it's sports, whether it's, work, whatever they have, and then school the next morning, that's a really difficult thing. So fortunately, now we're looking at a 24-hour period and getting that 8 to 10 hours within 24 hours. So whether that includes taking naps, but really increasing their quality of sleep, we have to minimize the screens. Screens have to stay out of their beds. Even though it feels like it's a rest time, hey, I'm just chilling out, I'm just watching TikToks or videos, the brain's not seeing it that way. And, part of the advantage of working with athletes is that you can kind of correlate it that sleep is when they want to be bigger, they want to be faster, they want to be stronger, they want their bodies to recover, muscle growth. That all happens during sleep. But how they focus, their attention span, behavior patterns, all of that is developing, and all of that's rehabilitating during sleep. So there are different techniques and tips you can use to kind of improve their quality of sleep during shorter hours, because like I said, most teenagers are not going to get that required 8 to 10 at one shot at night.
No, they're not. And so if we're talking about fueling them with the right things, is there a certain, let's look at fats. So what type of good fats should we be giving them?
Yeah, avocados are really great for their brain health. Walnuts, which really aren't my favorite at all, but they're great for supporting brain health as well. Yeah, so even if you can, chop them up and put them, simply adding them into, muffins or pancakes. So you can add them into anything really easily.
Salads.
Chia seeds are super, adding them salads for sure. Chia seeds are great because they're convenient. You can just add them to yogurt. You can add them to, a smoothie. You can put them on top of oatmeal, anything where you're, adding in these different fats on the go.
What about salmon? Can we add walnuts, chia seeds? We make a breakfast muffin. So it's oatmeal flour, and it's like chia. They don't know that chia seeds go in there. They don't know. Right. They don't know I put applesauce in instead of sugar. Right. Okay. So there's not much sugar in them. I use oatmeal flour, and I'm trying to put some power foods in there. And now I do put chocolate chips in because it's delicious. That ends up to be 4 a muffin. So that's not too bad, right? Or 5 a muffin or whatever it is, but it gets them to eat it. So sneaking in foods into spaghetti, how would we sneak some veggies to a sauce? What would we sneak in?
You can easily sneak in some either like chopped spinach. You You can add sweet potato puree into things. Don't overlook, sometimes even like in the baby food aisles, they have like the purees already of different,
like raw.
Yeah, you can kind of add those into sauces without it really necessarily.
Will it affect the change? Will it still taste Italiano if you put in sweet potato?
It depends what you're
Italiano. Like,
it depends what you're adding. Like when you're doing a smoothie, if you want to add spinach to a smoothie, yeah, it's going to turn
notice the taste. Yeah.
But adding, making it some sort of tropical, whether you have pineapple, whether you have mango in there, that will offset kind of the bitter taste of it. And add kiwi, that way it's already green. But you can always add different elements into whatever food this happens to be.
Yeah.
You talked about the oils too.
Really good.
Olive oils.
Yeah.
You're what?
Sneaking foods in. I mean, we have good eaters, so I'm lucky, but I'm also one of those parents you don't get a choice about what's at dinner. You get what's in front of you. I may separate it a little bit for you, but I'm not going to ultimately make a second meal. I have too many kids going too many places. So I have to make, right. And this is also for athletic parents. I try and make 2 or 3 meals whenever I'm in the kitchen, because then I feel like I'm just wasting my time if I'm not doing 2 meals at once, or even if I'm preparing part of like sweet potatoes for that next day or something. And like I'm just always like, I don't want to waste my time because it's just too valuable. So, but I know their nutrition is key, because if they eat too much crap, it's just like, you're going to be like your food crap.